Okay, so good morning everyone. Let us begin with GS3. Now, we already completed with GS2, polity and governance, social justice. So, ethics will be left. We'll be covering it in GS4. And apart from that, I think એકવાર એટલું પતી જશે એના પછી ગુજરાતનો થોડોક અમુક અંશ બાકી રહેશે આપણે પછી આપણે કન્ટિન્યુઅસલી કરશું. ઓકે, ચાલો આજે શરૂઆત GS3થી કરીએ છીએ. ઓકે, અહીંયા જો હાઇલાઇટેડ હશે તો ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શન ગણવાનું, ગ્રીન હશે તો એ સારું કંઈક કામ હશે, એટલે બેનિફિટ, એડવાન્ટેજીસ. ઓકે, રેડ ઇઝ ક્રિટિસિઝમ, બ્લુ ઇઝ ગવર્મેન્ટ એફર્ટ્સ, ધ વાયલેન્ટ ઇઝ વે ફોરવર્ડ. ઓકે, વર્ડ ઓફ વાઇસ એ છે હંમેશા યાદ રાખવાનું તો કે ધ બ્રેવિટી ઇઝ ધ સોલ ઓફ વિટ. ઓકે, એટલે જેટલું ઓછા શબ્દોની અંદર જેટલું વધારે લખાઈ શકે છે એ વધારે મહત્ત્વનું છે. ઓકે, need to add the following ways. Okay, જેમ કે સોશિયલ છે, સોશિયલ ફેક્ટર, એનાલાઇઝ that poor enforcement of contract. Okay, substantiate, it would reduce ease of doing as per the ease of doing business World Bank report, rank 163. બહુ શોર્ટમાં લખવાનું છે અને ભરભર કે લીખે થોડી બી જગ્યા ના છોડે. ઓકે, એ વસ્તુ યાદ રાખજો. એક્ઝામ્પલ્સ એન્ડ ફેક્ટ્સ મસ્ટ ટુ સબસ્ટેન્શિએટ યોર આર્ગ્યુમેન્ટ. ઓકે, જેનરિક ટર્મ્સ, કીવર્ડ, કીવર્ડ્સ જે હોય છે, સોરી, જેમ કે લેક ઓફ અવેરનેસ, રેટેપિઝમ, મિસઅપ્રોપ્રિએશન ઓફ ફોર્મ્સ, હે ને, તો કાં તો એને છે ને તમે કોઈ ઓથેન્ટિકેટ સોર્સથી એમને વેલિડેટ કરો, જેમ કે ઇકોનોમિક સર્વે છે, કાં પછી છે ને તમે એક્ઝામ્પલના માધ્યમથી એને સબસ્ટેન્શિએટ કરો. ઓકે, first 5 minutes which is given in Ahmedabad, you need to prioritize and write important things on the paper itself. કે જે ક્વેશ્ચન પેપર આપણને મળે છે એમ જ છે ને પેલી 5 મિનિટ જે મળે છે ને એ ક્વેશ્ચન પેપર જોઈ લેવાનું અને 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 એટલે તમે પ્રાયોરિટાઇઝ કરી લેવાનું. તમે કયું આન્સર, કયું તમે પહેલાં લખશો, કયું બીજું લખશો. પછી એકવાર એ થઈ જાય એના પછી જ છે ને એની અંદર થાય ને તો નાના એવા શબ્દોમાં લખી નાખો કે અહીંયા શું લખીશું, અહીંયા કમિટીઓ લખીશ, અહીંયા હું એડ કરીશ, અહીંયા હું એડ કરીશ, જેથી છે ને તમને એ વસ્તુ યાદ આવે. ઓકે, કમિટીઝ, ફેક્ટ્સ, કન્ક્લુઝન્સ, કયા કન્ક્લુઝન, ખાલી 1 લાઈન 53 લખો, ઓક્સફાર્મ લખી નાખો અને બસ આટલો ઓક્સફાર્મ લખી નાખ્યો એટલે કામ થઈ જશે. ઓકે, વે ફોરવર્ડ જે છે 2-3 પોઈન્ટ્સ ઇન કમિટી સેક્શન, સો રેસ્ટ એડેડ હિયર. ઓકે, સો 2-3 પોઈન્ટ તમને કમ્યુનિટીની આપણે જે છે એની અંદરથી મળી જશે ને બાકીના જે છે એ લખેલા હશે. ડાયમેન્શનની વાત કરીએ તો સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ છે એક સોશિયલ, પોલિટિકલ, ઇકોનોમિકલ, એડમિનિસ્ટ્રેટિવ, એન્વાયરમેન્ટલ, સ્ટેક હોલ્ડર વાઇઝ છે કે ભાઈ વુમેન પર્સપેક્ટિવ. જો કદાચ સમજો ડિજિટલ એજ્યુકેશનનું હોય ફોર ઇન્સ્ટન્સ તો સ્ટુડન્ટ છે, ટીચર છે, ઇન્ફ્રાસ્ટ્રક્ચર છે, ગવર્મેન્ટ છે, પેરેન્ટ્સ છે. યસ. ઓકે, જેમ કે ફાર્મર, કન્ઝ્યુમર, ગવર્મેન્ટ, ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી. યસ, એગ્રીકલ્ચરમાં આવે તો લખી શકાય. કે પછી સપ્લાય ડિમાન્ડ મેટ્રિક્સ. ઓકે, કે પછી પોલિસી સાઇડ અમુક જ હશે. એટલે આ રીતે તમે ડાયમેન્શન્સ ખોલી શકો છો. ઓકે, ઓકે માય ફ્રેન્ડ્સ, ચાલો આગળ વધીએ. ચાલો શરૂઆત કરીએ. આ સાઈડ યુઝ્યુઅલી ફેક્ટ્સ અને રિપોર્ટ્સ લખેલા હશે, આ સાઈડ ગવર્મેન્ટ એફર્ટ્સ હશે, કન્ક્લુઝન હશે. ઓકે, કીવર્ડથી ચાલુ કરી કે GS3ના કીવર્ડ્સ તો રેપિડ વેલ્યુ એડિશન ઇન કીપિંગ વિથ આત્મનિર્ભર ભારત અભિયાન, ઇન્ટિગ્રેટેડ મેગા ટેક્સટાઇલ પાર્ક, ફોરવર્ડ એન્ડ બેકવર્ડ ઇન્ટિગ્રેશન, ઇન્ક્યુબેશન ઇન મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ, પછી encouraging public-private partnership, diversification of niche sector, focus on high-growth domestic market, research and development for ushering innovation in sustainable manner. Okay, generic terms इनकी corruption છે તો red tapeism and bureaucratic hurdles, unavailability of data એવું નહીં લખવાનું कि poor or lack of data integrity, data availability and data incoherence. Okay, lack awareness ની જગ્યાએ poor social media outreach and legal rights awareness, silocentric approach. Yes, લીકેજની જગ્યાએ siphoning of fund and misappropriation of funds. Okay, 6, ambiguity in definition of scheme. Yes, conflict between state and center, there is a federal challenge. Instead of writing this, you need to write the federal challenge. Lack of expertise, skilled power, manpower. Okay, Power without accountability or transparency, or weakening of the accountability mechanism. So this one is better, like we already mentioned in the earlier lectures too. Lack of skilled labor. Okay, you do not have access to qualified planning professionals. So you can write this: you do not have access to qualified planning professions. Against the principle of natural justice, yes. Contribute to policy failures. What contributes to the policy failure? That is overly optimistic expectation, implementation and dispersed governance, inadequate collaborative policy making, vagaries of political cycle. Okay, so these are the issues. Multiplicity of the scheme and duplication of efforts, coordination, delay, cost overrun, long gestation period, inadequate funds, proper import dependency, low research. Okay, one size fit for all, cost beneficiary or error of inclusion and exclusion, over centralization, planning issues, expensive, this not included, you can write this, efforts are limited, narrow ways, mass participation is low, poor infrastructure, understaffed or vacancy, less lucrative business, conflict of interest, top down approach. So, yes, these are some of the key generic terms that can be used to analyze your answer. Okay. Amrit Kal, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, yes, COVID factor, international factors such as Russia, Ukraine youth, Sri Lanka, supply chain disruption, among others. So you can use these things. Okay. Advantages, of course, like we mentioned in the earlier, way forward, specialized supervisory and regulatory cadre, ICE material, faster code and speedy trials, institutional mechanism backed by strong political will, integrated approach, implementation, upholding the international standard and enforcing so and so legislation. Okay. You can use some concluding lines such as fight trillion economy, need of the hour, minimum government, maximum governance, per drop, more crop, Antyodaya se Sarvodaya, Har Jal ko Nal, Jal Andolan through Jan Bhagidari, Sarva Dharma Sambhav, Satyamev Jayate, Atithi Deva Bhava, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Deed must follow words as moon follows down. Okay, so you can also use such flowery words. So this is one such thing that we will add, keep adding it. Okay, this flowering words. Okay, starting to begin with, let us begin with the sectors of the economy. Okay, so primary, the total forest and tree cover in India is 24.56%. Second largest steelmaker with 111 million ton, well, China is on 1 billion ton. So even by being the second, we are very far from China. Okay. Textile contributes about 2% of the GDP, 15% of the export earning. Yes, we do not read this anymore. Fishery sector contributes about 8% of the GDP. Yes, so it is very high. Mineral Law Amendment Act, minerals again contribute almost about mineral exploration, mineral extraction contributes about 1.63% of the GDP. Okay. Excluding petroleum and natural gas. Okay, so yes, that's it. You do not read these. Okay, this is District Mineral Fund. It lacks tribal representation. Yes, identification of beneficiary is arbitrary, poor planning, no auditing, focus upon physical over human development, lack of public disclosure. Yes, and what can be a good example is Norway, where the District Mineral Fund is used for the pension. Okay. Secondary sector, the growth is stagnant in the past 2 decades. Yes, growth fixed capital formation is gross fixed capital formation to 36% by 2022. It should be done. Okay, manufacturing sector contributes about 16.7% and secondary sector contributes about 29%. Okay. The tertiary sector 7% growth rate. Yes, almost 2/3 of the FDI falls in comes in this sector. Export is about 4.6% year on year. Yes, then there is quaternary services, which is almost about service sector. Talking about Indian economy and issue, the first is the growth. Let us see about the facts. Agri and allied sectors contribute about 15.8%, which provides employment of 50%. Industry, that is the secondary sector, contributes 29.73%. Manufacturing contributes 16.7%. So Okay. Service sector contributes what 54.40%. Okay. We also have this things in the 54.44%, while it provides employment to 37%. Okay, so which is a pretty a small number compared to the contribution it is giving into the GDP. However, look at the agriculture sector. The contribution to the GDP is very low, but the employment it provides to almost 50% of the employable youth. So that shows that many of these people are employed. They can be categorized as disguised unemployed. Okay. So here are some of the indicators. Per capita income during 1950, 1991 and 2, and 2021-22. Okay, 11,000, which increased to 24,000, and which increased to 1.35 lakh rupees, 3 lakh. So there is 40 years, and then there is another 20 years. So in the span of 20 years, we increased our per capita income very fast. Okay, 20, I beg your pardon, 30 years and 40 years. Okay. Poverty was at 70%, which is reduced to almost 22%. Health life expectancy was at 35, reached to 68. Maternal mortality rate was at say 400, which reduced to 167. Literacy was very low, very low, 12% to almost 74%, which is a great leap. GDP was at 2.7 lakh. 2.7 lakh is nothing to almost 3 trillion. Now we are actually reaching to 3.7 trillion, almost close to inching to very close to $4 trillion economy. Okay. In comparison of world GDP, we contributed almost only about 3% of the world's GDP. Now we are at 10%, which is very good. Food production was at 50 million ton, which is very low. We are suffering from hunger, poverty, malnutrition. Yes, to almost a surplus country with about capacity of 300 million tons. Okay, agriculture 54% to almost now it is contributing only about 13% of the GDP. Okay, what are the issues? Okay, issues of I think in Indian economy, what are the issues we are facing? COVID impact, yes, over 12 years to overcome COVID losses. Okay, RBI in its report has said that it would take another 12 years to overcome COVID losses. Okay, international factors such as Russia-Ukraine war, deglobalization, protectionism. Okay, supply chain disruptions such as the semiconductor shortage. Okay, uh, design, fabrication, assembly. So this thing. Something to know about semiconductor. It is a material that has characteristics and ability to conduct small amount of electrical current. It has three things: the design, fabrication, and assembly. Okay, we are actually 100% dependent on 100% import dependent. For an example, in an EV car, almost 300 chips are required. So even if 50 chips are not available, the entire production halts. The government has came up with Semicon India program, wherein 76,000 crore rupees have been invested. India Semiconductor Mission is also there, and there's another issue called container shortage issue, which was there. Now it is not there, so you have to read this. Okay, ease of doing business. Again, this is discontinued, so you did not mention them. Only about 2.5% people are paying taxes, which is very low. Okay, tax to GDP ratio is at only 16.6%. Informal sector is at 80%, which is very high, and which almost provides 50% of the employment. So if that is informal sector is very high, and which is not accounted properly in the GDP's data. Okay, Standard & Poor's says that 25% are financially literate. Okay, so which means that 75% are not literate. Okay, willful defaulter only about 1.1 lakh crore involving 9,000 borrowers. Okay, total of this money are willful defaulters. The exit problem for the industry on an average takes 1.7 years to exit from the what do you say, if they want to exit, then it normally takes 1.7 years to finish it off. Okay, People are very apprehensive of reforms. The Economic Survey 2019 has said this. In 1980, China and India were both at the were not both were not part of 45 large economies. Now today, China is the second largest, whereas India is still very far. Okay, ease of doing business is again gone. Vivad se Vishwas scheme is again no need to do that. See, actually, GS3, especially economy, is the most contemporary and the most current based. So we need to keep updating ourselves. Okay, sometimes those things will become irrelevant in the future. Okay. Insolvency and bankruptcy code, what are the issues? The low recovery rate, yes, 98% haircut for Videocon. Long delay, almost 75% cases are going beyond 180 days of stipulated timeline. There is also a high vacancy in NCLTs. Then lack of conduct rules for insolvency professionals. Okay. Way forward can be moral hazard problem in decapitalization of public sector banks, increase NCLT branches. Okay. Bad bank and that is asset reconstruction companies. In budget they have mentioned them that we will create such things. Asset reconstruction company and asset management company, even para nursing committee. Okay, so they all suggested making such companies. Okay. National Asset Corporation Asset Reconstruction Company Limited is given 22 bad loans worth 89,000 crore. Net book value is 15% cash and 2.5 lakh crore bad loan worth recovery. Okay. What is significance? The NPA is at 7.5%, which can be reduced. Okay. Which could potentially increase to 13.5%, and to protect financial sector from spillover effect of COVID-19, we need to create such things. Okay, international experiences are very good. It increases the lending leverage to the bank. Revival of the credit flow post COVID-19, yes. Penalization, yes. Increased profitability. Complement insolvency and bankruptcy code. Urban cooperatives, administrative logjam. Okay. What are the problems? Shifting of problem, yes. Tight fiscal position, yes. Reckless lending could increase reckless lending. No clear procedure, yes. Higher valuations are demanded by the bank. Method of loan recovery, it could be very harsh. Profitability of bank could be impacted. Okay, so what could be the way forward? That Malaysian model of post-Asian crisis, a professional distressed loan sale trading platform, bank reforms, sovereign guarantee. Okay, so this could be the way forward. Corporate social responsibility, section 135 of the Companies Act, 2% of the profit is to be given. Okay, what are the issues? It is tool to tax the companies. Yes, spending 69% on health and education. So other social parameters are lagging. Non-compliance are almost 50%, spend less than the mandatory, cheating and favor donation. Yes, so those are the issues. Startup, for which we need actually a turnover of greater than turnover of less than 100 crore rupees in any fiscal year. Age should be below 10 years. Third largest ecosystem in India. 28,000 registered, yes. 41 unicorns, yes. In fact, it has reached to 72. So I think we should change this now itself. अभी चेंज करता हूँ मैं, अभी चेंज करता हूँ. 72. Okay. So employment average, a startup provides 12 jobs. There's a huge growth potential. Zerodha, Zomato, Jio, among others. Okay. Startup India seed fund, yes, 2021. Startup India, yes. Stand Up India, AIM Prime, revised priority sector lending to include renewable and entrepreneurship. Okay, so these are the government initiatives. Okay, conclusion. We are replacing the red tape with red carpet. Yes, make India a digital talent stack. Yes. Okay, what could be the way forward for growth? That business reform action plan, ranking of the state, single window system, yes. Automobile license, renewable, yes. Counter-cyclical capital buffer, yes. Technological absorption and deploying smart banking system, yes. Agile approach that uses feedback loop and real-time adjustments. Okay, you need to focus on four C's. That is the competition, cost, convenience, and confidence. Okay, competition, cost, convenience, and confidence. 6E for development, yes, economy, efficiency, effectiveness, equity, empowerment, and environment. So you can think on this lines too. Okay, this could be the better frameworks for any type of question. Market for freedom, that free movement of people, goods, service, and capital. Okay. Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, a 20 lakh stimulus package. Yes, I did not read this anymore. So it focuses on four parameters, 4L, that is the land, labor, liquidity, and law. Okay, and it aims to cater for five pillars: economy, infra, our system, demography, and demand. Okay, so you can actually use this in any of the different questions. Okay, production and incentive, it aims to provide rebate given to the producers for incremental production. Nearly how much incentive is given? Nearly about 4 to 6%, and about 1.6 lakh crore rupees is already invested through production linked incentives. Okay, so you did not read this anymore. Solar, key starting material, manufacturing. So you almost have production incentive for each and every sector. So you can always quote them. Okay. Okay. Cashless economy, minimum usage of cash for economic transaction is cashless economy. Okay. Digital payment volume has increased to a very high number. Okay, so that data will have to be changed. UPI BHIM transaction increased to 3.31 lakh crore rupees. Yes. Why cashless economy? It curbs corruption, financial inclusion, efficacy in monetary policy updates, increase the tax base, reduce the printing of money. Okay, improve digital literacy. Yes. What are the hurdles? On institution side, we have interoperability, merchant discounted, data mining by the government to create fear among the from using cashless transaction, privacy, bank run, bank charges on the customer, digital fraud, data breach, and digital oligopolies. Okay. On the customer side, we have the instant liquidity in the hand is preferable, fraud, card cloning, service fees. Yes. Digital divide, 62% of the urban use digital payment while only 13% in rural. Yes, so this actually has changed, so you need to change this data. Online informal money laundering such as instant loan app, data theft, this could be the things. Okay, so yes, what are the government initiatives? So RBI has formed Digital Payment Security Control 2021, Merchant Discount Rate, Payment and Settlement Act 2007, yes, Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, Digishala, other enabled digital payment system, Bharat Interface, okay, UPI, Jandan Yojana, Merchant Discount Rate subsidies, among others. Okay, what is the way forward? Nandan Nilekani Committee has said that financial inclusion index. Okay, there's a need for a financial inclusion index. High value payment system be like NEFT, RTGS made available round the clock, which is already done. Removal of import duties on POS machines and all government transactions like DBT, goods and service procured to be made digital. Okay. So this was CPI versus WPI was once in the news, so it was written here. No need to read it anymore. Employment. According to periodic labor force survey, the employment rate is at 3.7%. बोलो अनएम्प्लॉयड कोई छेड़ नहीं है भारत में. What are the issues? Formal vocational training is only at 4.4%. when South Korea it is at 96%, of which 33% trained are unemployed. So even of this 4.4% trained, 33% are still unemployed. Okay, and yet government says their unemployment rate is at merely 3.7%. Tragic. Productive jobs are missing. Yes, mismatch between demand and supply. Yes, structural change challenges. Yes, such as increasing the Internet of Things, IoT, AI. Yes, focus on SMEs, automation and technological revolution. Yes, social security. Yes, rising real wages, job loss among diaspora. Yes, okay. Lokniti has said that almost 63% are self-employed, for 24% in the private job, and then only 6% in government job. Okay, so skill India Skill Report 2020. Okay, and we have Shada Prasad Committee, so we'll be studying them in the other section. Poor accreditation and multiplicity. Yes, 44% employable. Only about 44% of the engineers are employable. What the government has done for skill, the National Skill Development Council, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Kendra, Tulip Sankalp National Employee Promotional Scheme, Strive Swadesh Future Skill Initiative. Okay, Jawad. Asim, yes, and we have e-Shram portal. Okay, talking about labor, complexity and plethora, almost about 140% plus contractualization of labor. Yes, contract worker increased from 26% to 36%. Lack of formal recognition of trade unions. Okay, one third wage workers in India is not protected by minimum wage law. Okay, e-Shram portal. Yes, it started in 2020. e-Shram portal is the first national database of unorganized worker in the country. Yes, 36% crore workers are registered in this. Okay, so yes, you did not read any of this. Almost about 94% of the workers in the wage are below 10,000 per month. Okay, labor policy, first we had the colonial economics, the British democratic tradition, and we have the nationalistic movement. Okay, labor codes, we saw the wage code, the industrial relation code, social security code, and organizational safety, occupational safety, health and working condition. Okay, so it is still not implemented, so I think we cannot study on this. A demographic dividend, a window of opportunity, refers to a growth in an economy that is result of the change in the age structure of the country's population. In 2020, the median age is 28. Way to harness demographic dividend, the United Nations Population Fund advocates differential approach. For window that is closing soon, such as in the case of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Delhi, Gujarat, will have to be an aging and Indian migrant friendly policies and program. Window is open and will close in the next 10 to 15 years, such as in the case of Karnataka, Odisha, Haryana, Assam. Will have to be empowering the girls and the women, provisioning for health, education, skill development of young people, employment generation, among others. Window is yet to open, that is Chhattisgarh, UP, Bihar. While will have to be threefold. First is the addressing the harmful practices such as child marriage, access to quality sexual and reproductive health services, family planning to all, and the provisioning of health, education, and life vocational skills to all the young people. Okay. So adolescent girl, if we go to this direction, such as child marriage, living school, repeated pregnancies, child illness, maternal morbidity, informal work, insecurity, displacement, insecure old age, then the demographic dividend would be missed. But if we go in this direction, that school, employment, adult marriage, and healthy children, social security at place, work-life balance, lifelong learning, and a wealthy and child investment source, secure old age, then it would be a demographic dividend. Okay, so even if any of the stages, we can still transition to this. How the family planning, access to sanitation, health system strengthening, child health investment, okay, health worker training, law policies and violence and decriminalization, youth policy, work-life balance policy, incentives to save, social security, safety net policies, lifelong learning, among others. Okay, so in a way, we can actually transition to demographic dividend through these methods. Okay, talking about gig economy. So, gig economy is an economic activity that involves the use of temporary or freelance workers to perform a job. Okay, typically in the service sector. Example are Uber or Zomato worker. Post-COVID world gig economy would exponentially rise. Report titled India's Booming Gig and Platform Economy by Niti Aayog has projected that the gig workers in India may hit 23.5 million by financial year 2030. Okay, so this is a good report that can be quoted. What is it? India's booming gig and platform economy. Okay, what are the disadvantages? The first is the issue of social protection is not given. Negotiating power of the worker is very less because there is no labor union. Urban centric, not available in rural regions. Confidential data of the company might get sacrificed. Okay. Talking about the advantages, flexibility, yes, higher flexibility in the workers leverages the labor productivity for freelancers. Innovation, yes, expertise in the respective area and skill enables freelance to evolve a newer innovation. Speed, due to increased work efficiency and expertise, freelancers can work quicker and easier. Okay, companies can avoid taxes and workers compensation by hiring. Okay, ensuring the employment rules are fit for the rapidly changing nature of the work. Okay, what are the disadvantages? Freelancer work with the multiple buyers and disclosure of confidentiality of work increases the risk. Okay. एक minute. Supply may have to realign their services. Supplier may have to realign their services on technology innovations to support gig workers' economy. Okay. Higher level of dissatisfaction in freelance, thus due to lower benefits and no paid level. Weakening the bargaining power of the company's gig worker and need to focus on social security in freelancers. Okay. What are the suggestions? Higher education institutions should look at this opportunity, develop a portal of freelancer, Karnataka government, regulation of gig workers. Okay. Okay. So inclusive growth. Now let us see. Okay. The sectors, the social. What are the inclusive growth is a pursuit of government that the seeds of development reaches the last man and the woman of the country. Okay, sectors in which we need to have an inclusive is social inclusion, economic inclusion, political inclusion, environmental inclusion. Okay, what are the stakeholders? The government, civil society, private sectors, NGOs, and the media. Okay, and what are the such stakeholders? Yes, government. Yes, we have that. The government is very much associated with civil society, private sector, NGO, media, among others. Okay, social inclusion, such as insurance, Atal Pension Yojana, Jeeval Jyoti Bima Yojana, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. Okay, in the social sector, we have maternity relief, as per Maternity Relief Act. Then we have the Varisht Pension Bima Yojana, Social Stock Exchange, among others. Okay, health wise, PMJ, PM BJP. Actually, PM BJP has doubled the sale of generic drugs to 200 crore rupees by value. Okay, economic inclusion, Atal Pension Yojana. Okay, in 2011, 78% of the rural households used cow dung, and by 2020, almost 97% people are using LPG. Okay, 100% electrification, yes. 6 to 7.5% increase in the expenditure by center and state collectively between 2014 to 2019. Okay, talking about financial inclusion, as per World Bank, financial inclusion is a pursuit of making financial services accessible at affordable cost to all individuals and businesses. Okay, what are the reasons of financial exclusion? Real interest rate at times of inflation is less lucrative than the gold. Lack of financial literacy, low trust in financial system such as Aadhaar cheat fund scam among others. Okay, socio-religious barriers such as the Islamic bank, lack of investment options among others. What are the consequences of absence of financial inclusion? The unforeseen circumstances, loss of property due to flood, lead to child labor, human trafficking, prostitution, crimes, vicious cycle of debt trap. Example: moneylenders charge high interest rate, falling in the debt trap. Ponzi scheme emerge in the market. Example: Sada cheat funds among others. Okay. So what are the benefits of financial inclusion? Saving poor will turn into investment for the corporates. Yes. Example: Jandan bank account added 20,000 crore rupees. Okay. Social harmony, women empowerment through SHGs. Okay. Reduce forced labor, bonded labors. Government can borrow money. Yes. Can help determine credit worthiness. Yes. 80% of the adults now have bank accounts, such as in the case of World Bank. 75% women have bank account. Okay, among others. So these are the benefits. What are the government initiatives to increase financial inclusion? Okay, life, such as social security. What are the government initiatives? Okay, economic transactions. Okay. PM Jan Dhan Yojana, National Strategy for Financial Inclusion, National Strategy for Financial Education, Priority Sector Lending, RuPay Card, debited through JAM Trinity, in Pahal scheme, scholarships, okay, Mudra scheme, KCC Kishan Credit Card, loan in 59 minutes, warehouse receipt now can be used to avail bank credits among others. So these are the government initiatives. What are the way forward? The IMF has asked RBI to review the PSL, get specialized institutions like NABARD, SEDBI to include for inclusive credit distribution. Japan, South Korea focuses on financial inclusion in the last stages. Okay. Talking about Urban Cooperative Bank, the Banking Regulation Amendment Act, the management issues, the structural issues, the regulatory issues, and the operational issues. So you can actually segregate your answer into these categories. Okay. The RBI has cancelled the license on Seva Vikas Corporation Bank. Okay. But the way forward for inclusive growth, you can use any of this. Safety to prevent distress due to COVID. Okay, safety net. Okay, you do not read this anymore. LPG and the effects of LPG reforms. So after 1992 and 1993, economy has grown by an average rate of 6.8%. Characteristics, features, reason for the good economic shift. Emphasized, emphasized on the graduationism and evolutionary transition rather than rapid structuring or shock therapy. Okay, problem in pre-reform period. But the problems in pre-reform period: the dominance of public sector in industrial activity, discretionary control. The dominance of public sector in industrial activity, the discretionary control on industrial investment and capacity expansion, trade and exchange control, limited access to foreign investment, public ownership and regulations of the financial sectors. Okay, these are the problems of pre-reform period. So what we did is we started with first industrial reforms by broadening the tax base as suggested by Chedia Committee. Narasimha Committee suggested financial sector. New industrial policy focused on freeing the economy from the clutches of aging public sector. Partial convertibility of rupee. Okay, yes. What still there was a slow growth rate. Yes. Okay, because of the southeastern financial crisis, cyclone in Odisha, earthquake in Kutch led to the diversion of resources. Oil price increased due to Iran Kuwait war. So mostly it was an external sector. external factors, and we are still having structural reforms. Okay, what are the reasons for slow growth rate of manufacturing sectors in almost 16%? Yes, reason for slow growth rate of manufacturing sector. Okay, late convergence toll, thus industrial outsourcing already in China, South Korea, etc. Okay, internet revolution, yes. High incremental capital ratio in service sector, yes. Less technological know-how, like in the case of Japan, Germany. Inverted duties, logistic cost was very high, restrictive labor law, among others. Okay. Consequences, jobless growth, yes. Agricultural distress, yes. With about 49% relying on the employment, put lot stress on the other sector. Okay, investment went to service sector, yes. Economic inequality rises and demographic dividend cannot be utilized to its full potential. Okay, so these are the consequences. Okay, what are second generation reforms? Where the push economy to the higher growth trajectory, and second generation reforms did push India to 8% growth rate path as against 6% growth path that was guided by the first generation reform. Okay, fiscal reforms, broadening the income tax base, yes. Value added tax, minimum alternative tax, service tax, financial reforms. Okay, allowing private companies to enter insurance sector, allowing foreign banks, abolition of FERA, creation of FEMA, partial convertibility of rupee in capital account. Okay, capital adequacy ratio. Then there were structural reforms. We had labor reforms, voluntary retirement scheme. Okay, national renewable fund. Yes, downside of the first and second reform was that the GDP per capita and tax to GDP ratio did not increase. Okay, creation of world class infrastructure was still limited. The spirit of entrepreneurship was not yet to be developed. So we had to have a third generation reforms such as the GST, bankruptcy code, capital easing norms for startup, Mudra Bank, demonetization, labor reforms, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, among others. Okay, so these are the third generation reforms. Okay, okay. Once again, third generation reforms were followed: GST, bankruptcy code, capital easing norms for the startup and entrepreneurs through Mudra Bank. Okay, demonetization, digital economy, national investment in infrastructure fund, repealed many archaic laws, labor reforms, yes. Good governance through technology, logistic gets infrastructure status, Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, reduction in incentive, agri reforms, among others. Okay. Inequality, economic disparity, yes. Average Tamilian earns 4 times more than the average Bihari. Yes, Thomas Piketty in his book Capital in 21st Century attributes the reason for inequality to low tax to GDP ratio. Okay, Amartya Sen in his book The Capability Approach has told about the same, that we need to increase the capacity of an individual. Okay, from welfare to development to empowerment, yes. Oxfam reintroduced the inheritance tax and increasing the wealth tax. Okay, three-pronged approach: unemployment and wage, quasi UBI, rising human development, among others. Okay, Sharda Prasad Committee, world skill capital, skill wallet, skill passport. You can use these things. Okay. Once again, Amartya Sen capability approach, from welfare to development to empowerment approach. Oxfam actually will not support this. So three-pronged approach: unemployment, wage, quasi UBI, rising human development. Okay, Sharda Prasad Committee, world skill capital, skill wallet, skill passport, among others. Okay, trade, balance of payment, record the transaction in goods, service, assets between residents and the country with the rest of the world for specified time period, typically a year. Okay, that is balance of payment. Current account deficit is almost at 2.7% of the GDP. Okay, so in current times we'll have to check. Okay, trade accounts for 49% of the GDP. India's share is 1.2%, and while the service export is almost 4% in the global export. India's overall export growth between 1995 to 2018 was averaged 9.5%, third best in the world. Okay, India's manufacturing export growth rate third best post Vietnam and China. Okay, uh, toy import is down by 75%, which is a good example of Make in India. Initiative to achieve supply chain resilience on Indo-Pacific region of Japan, India, and Australia. Scheme for the remission of duties and taxes. Road tape initiative is again for the export promotion. Export preparedness index, Gujarat has ranked 1. Way forward, what could be the way forward? High level of advisory group on trade. Okay, capital to Exim BAM, investment India plus plus 12 champion sectors among others. Okay. Talking about SEZ, almost about 100 billion worth export in 2019-20, 30% of the total export. Total operational SEZ is almost at 241. Okay, total export growth rate is at 15%, while the manufacturing it is 34%, and the service sector it is 23%. So all in all, and an average it is 15%, which is better than the growth of India, which is at 9.3%. What are the issues? That it is underutilized almost 55%, 50%. Sunset clause and benefit is not there. MAT clearly not defined services. Job work, exclusive growth, yes. Foreign direct investment, we are actually losing too much amount to tax abuse by MNCs. Okay, foreign companies exiting in India, such as Ford, Citibank, Alocin, General Motors, among others, reached all-time high. Okay, so FDI has reached all-time high by $87 billion in 2021-22, which is a good answer. Globalization and way forward for reducing the ill effects of LPG. So it is a generic thing. You can easily write them. So you don't need to revise about them. Okay. Yes. So thank you. I think budgeting and we will do it in the next subsequent lectures.